Hello everyone, so in this video we are going to discuss some of the important current affairs for the month of May. So first of all we will try to see some of the important indices which got released either in April or May. The first one is Global Gender Gap Report, in which India had a rank of 140. That rank is not that important, but yes, you should keep in mind that India had a rank of 140 in World Economic Forum's Global Gender Gap Report. And then you have another report called Inclusive Internet Index. It is generally released by Economist Intelligence Unit, but this year Facebook also collaborated with it. So this can also be questioned. So this can also be a question: which particular company collaborated with Economist Intelligence Unit to bring Inclusive Internet Index? The third one is World Press Freedom Index, which is quite easy: Reporters Without Border. It is also called RSF in French. Then Protected Planet Report. This is a report which is quite important and is released by UNEP, United Nations Environment Programme, and IUCN. UNEP is headquartered at Nairobi and IUCN comes out with a red data list. Then we have Global E-Vehicle Outlook. So this particular report is released by International Energy Agency. So this is also important. You might find it afterwards also, International Energy Agency. It comes out with Global E-Vehicle Outlook. We all know that e-vehicle has become important in few years. So they have come out with this report, Global E-Vehicle Outlook. Now this one is also very important because in the month of May only, Sundar Lal Bahuguna, he passed away. So he was basically from Uttarakhand and a Gandhian who was associated with Chipko movement in Uttarakhand. And this Chipko movement was eco-feminist movement. And a similar movement was inspired in Karnataka, that was called Apiko movement. And both of these movements were inspired by a movement which happened in 18th century by the Vishnoi community, okay, where there was a massacre. Now come to anti-Tehri Dam project. So when Tehri Dam was built in Himalayas, there was a protest regarding that. Why? Because it will destroy the ecology of that area basically. The Tehri Dam is the tallest dam in India. By tallest, I do not mean. Then you have Narmada Bachao Andolan, which is led by Medha Patkar, who is an alumnus of this. And this dam which is built over Narmada is called as Sardar Sarovar Dam. So it is quite related news, so you should be knowing. Now come to Annamaya, Tribal Health Cooperative. So this particular question was asked many a time in the interview. So basically what happened, some 2 years ago, you had a committee called Dr. Abhay Bhang Committee. It was a committee on tribal health. So it recommended few things, and upon recommendation there was a scheme launched by the government, Annamaya Tribal Health Cooperative. The collaborative is a multi-stakeholder initiative of Tribal Affairs Ministry supported by Piramal Foundation and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So you should be knowing about Piramal Foundation as well as Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, especially those of you who are from healthcare forces. It will converge efforts of various government agencies and organizations to enhance the health and nutrition status of tribal community of India. So this is the objective of it. Now come to Israel and Palestine dispute. So in the First World War, Ottoman Empire got defeated by, the combination of British, France and all. So when it got defeated, then the land of Palestine, that became a mandate of Britishers. Okay. So Britishers, before even winning the war, declared something in 1970 that was called Balfour Declaration. This declaration is very important. A direct question might come. The Balfour Declaration was a public statement issued by British government in 1917 during the First World War, announcing support for establishment of a national home for Jewish people in Palestine. So basically, then an Ottoman region with a small minority of Jewish population. So basically what has happened? Some 2000 years ago, that Palestine region, or Israel as we call today, was the home state of Jewish people, and they had their temple there, they used to live there. Then what happened? The Roman Empire, they attacked them and they forced the Jewish people to move, to save their lives. They moved in different part of the world. That happened some 2000 years ago. So what will happen now? That land will be occupied by some people. Okay, so the Arab people occupied that land, and eventually after few centuries, after 500 years ago or 600 years ago, Prophet Muhammad was born. Okay, when he was born, then Islam came into being. Okay, when he was born, Islam got popular, and those people who were living there, they accepted Islam as their religion, and that continued for almost 1500 years. For 1500 years they were living there, because they were living there, that was their home state. Okay, the Palestinian state. Now what happens? Because of Balfour Declaration, the Jewish people across the world started coming to Israel, because there was a promise that they will build a national home state for Jewish people. So the Jewish people were persecuted everywhere where they went. For example, you can start the example of Germany. So they moved to that place from across the world. They bought the property and settled there. So in 1970, the land belonged to the Arab people, and then in 1948, what happens? The Jewish people start coming, and so the blue, you can see blue are the Jewish people. They almost occupied 90% of this land, and just two strips are left. The strip here, a small strip, you can see, that is very important, that is called Gaza Strip. This is called Gaza Strip, while this face thing you are seeing is called what? West Bank. And here you have Golan Heights, West Bank, Gaza Strip and Golan Heights. So in 1967 there was 6-day war where Israel fought with Arab nations like Egypt and Syria, etc., and they occupied a lot of their land. For example, here we can see they occupied Sinai Peninsula from Egypt, which was later restored. Then they occupied this Golan Heights from Syria. They occupied the West Bank from Jordan. So these were occupied, and they become quite powerful because they won that war. The Israeli people, although they were less in number, they won that war, and since then there have been a domination of Israeli people. Now what is the solution for that? Can two communities having different religion not live together? Yes, they can live together, and the best example is India. So a two-state solution was given, that both of the people should live there. So a question might come on Balfour Declaration, a question might come on 1967 6-day war. So there can be questions on two-state solution also in different ways. So you should be knowing, and you should also be knowing where is West Bank, where is Gaza Strip, and where is Golan Heights. Now come to this particular question, Vesakha, which is also called Buddha Purnima. So on this very day, largest reclining Buddha statue was going to be inaugurated at Bodh Gaya, but that didn't happen because of lockdown. What is reclining Buddha then? Reclining Buddha is that Buddha who is about to attain Mahaparinirvana, or whose soul is about to leave. Now the place where Buddha attained Mahaparinirvana is called Kushinagar. It was also in news in February because it was made an international airport. You will have 3 international airports in UP after Kushinagar. The first is at Lucknow, the second one is at, and the third one is at Kushinagar. Then Lumbini is important because Buddha was born here. Bodh Gaya is important because he attained Nirvana here. Sarnath is important because he gave the first sermon here. And Kushinagar is important because he attained Mahaparinirvana. Now Shoharai Kohver painting got GI tag, that is geographical indicator tag. This is important because it belongs to the state of Jharkhand. The Government of India enacted Geographical Indicator of Goods Act in 1999, This act was enacted in India so as to comply with TRIPS agreement of WTO. So the another question can be, the TRIPS agreement is related to which of the following organization? The answer will be WTO. And what is the full form of TRIPS? Trade related intellectual property rights. Okay. Now Controller General of Patent, Design and Trademarks of India, which is under Department of Promotion and Industry and IT, that is DPIIT, which is in turn under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. This particular office, which gives GI tag, comes under Department of Industry and Internal Trade, which comes under Ministry of Commerce and Industry. And TRIPS stands for Trade Related Aspect of Intellectual Property Rights. Now this particular drug was also in news. 2-DG, it is called, or 2-deoxy-D-glucose. It is an anti-COVID drug developed by DRDO and marketed by Dr. Reddy's lab. Which body comes out with a list of essential medicine? This can also be a question. The answer to that will be Central Drug Standard Control Organization. Now come to Sarthak scheme. So in pursuance of national education policy, the government has come up with Sarthak scheme, which is basically on teachers and students education. The full form is Students and Teachers Holistic Advancement Through Quality Education. It is a plan for school education. Some of the outcomes which have been envisaged are new national and state curriculum framework for school education, teacher education, adult education will be developed. Increase in gross enrollment ratio, transition rate and retainment rate at all levels, reduction in dropout and out of school children, improvement in learning outcome at all the stages, then integration of vocational education, sports, arts, knowledge of India 21st century skills, value of citizenship, awareness of environment conservation, etc. Now come to aquaculture. This was also in news because E-Santa scheme. What is E-Santa? Electronic solution for augmenting NACSA farmers trade in agriculture. So what is NACSA? National Center for Sustainable Aquaculture. So it will help in diversifying the income of farmers. There was a committee called Meena Kumari Committee a few years ago, which was on Blue Revolution. And there was also another scheme called Mr. Fingerling, which was on fishing. Now, E-Santa is electronic solution for augmentation of NACSA farmer trade in aquaculture, and it especially deals with aquaculture in Kakinada Canal. Then there was another committee called Vivek Deborah Committee. It was related to beekeeping, and there was another portal which was launched, Madhu Kranti portal. Now, why these are important? Because in TASE you have a course of rural development. So these are in a way related to rural development. Okay. Now come to West Bengal to have legislative council. So let us understand what is legislative council. So basically in India we have bicameral legislation. What are legislatures? Legislatures are those bodies who make laws, like your parliament. Now our parliament contains the Lok Sabha, the Raj Sabha and the president. So we have two houses, the Lok Sabha and the Raj Sabha. So bicameral system have two houses. Bicameral legislature means having two legislative bodies, a upper house and a lower house. Now in India, not all the states have bicameral legislature. Only 6 Indian states right now have bicameral legislature. That is, they have something called Legislative Assembly and Legislative Council. Okay. The first one is Andhra Pradesh, then Bihar, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Telangana and Uttar Pradesh have bicameral legislature. Again, Andhra, Bihar, Karnataka, Maharashtra. See, UP, Bihar, you can remember UP and Bihar. Then Andhra and Telangana, we are one state, so they will have. And then Karnataka, Maharashtra are adjacent to each other. So somehow remember like this. In these states, the upper house is called Legislative Council and the lower house is called Legislative Assembly, Vidhan Parishad and Vidhan Sabha respectively. Now, Bengal is also going to have that. Now come to Happy Birthday short movie. So Anupam Kher bags Best Actor Award at New York Film Fest for short film Happy Birthday. So a direct question can come. Anupam Kher acted in that. Then Mayflower 400. It is first autonomous vehicle to cross the Atlantic. World's first unmanned vessel to navigate across the Atlantic through sea route. Okay. And then you have one report, Migration and Remittance Brief. This report is by the World Bank, number 1. Number 2, the country which received the maximum remittance is India, and then you have Mexico, Philippines, and the country which topped the list of country from where maximum remittances came across the world was USA. So let us understand what is remittance. Suppose someone is working in Canada or US, so he will be getting some salary, suppose $100. Out of that $100, in paying bills or his expenditure will be around $50-60. The $40 he will have, he will send it back to India, to his family. Okay, that $40 will get converted in India into rupees, and that will be given to his family. Okay, so that is called remittance, and this helps the foreign exchange of a country, because all those dollars will be kept by RBI and rupees will be given by RBI. That's it. Whatever conversion amount will be there, they will be converted into rupees and will be given to the family. But the dollars will be kept by RBI. So RBI will be having a lot of dollars. This will help raise foreign reserves of India. And it is very important that we should have a good foreign reserve. And it is very important that we should have a good foreign reserves if we want to avoid balance of payment crisis. Now, top 10 Fortune's World 50 Greatest Leader. The first one is New Zealand's PM Jacinda Ardern. She has topped the list. The 10th one is from India, Adar Poonawalla, because in that month he actually came out with the vaccine for India, that is Serum Institute. He is the head of Serum Institute. Now come to Renewable Energy Country Attractiveness Index. This is released by Ernst and Young. India has improved the last year rank to secure 3rd position. So India was at 4th position. Now she is at 3rd position. So this is also important. First you have USA, then China, and then now young climate activist. You should be knowing these names. These are important. So there has been a book by the name Climate Change Explained for One and All. This particular book has been written by Akash Ranison. And here you can see Sustainable Development Goal. So which number of goal deals with climate change? It is goal number 13, climate change action. And another person who is equally important is Vidyut Mohan, because he won last year Young Champion of Earth Award. He had one initiative called Takachar, which is basically waste to energy startup. So these two names are important in young climate activists. Now come to this, some books and authors. The first book, which is very important for you, because in this there is several courses on women issues. So a book called Banch, Incomplete Lives of Complete Women has been written by Susmita Mukherjee. This name Susmita Mukherjee is very important. Then the second one is The Elephant in the Womb by Kalki Koechlin. It is about pregnancy. Then Socha Kaha Tha is a autobiography, you can say, of Neena Gupta, but this is not that important. The Bench again is quite important because it has been written by Meghan Markle, who has been married to Prince Harry. Now come to Information Technology Intermediary Guideline and Digital Media Ethics Code. So this code came into being in the month of May. Before discussing this, we should be knowing that most of the people in India are WhatsApp users. Then you have YouTube users, then Facebook, then Insta and Twitter. Now it talks about due diligence to be followed by intermediaries. Then there should be a grievance redressal mechanism. It should ensure safety and dignity of users, especially women. Additional due diligence to be followed by significant social media intermediaries. They should have chief compliance officer, nodal contact person, and monthly compliance report should be submitted. And if there is some unlawful information that is against the law of India, that should be removed. Then source of the message can also be tracked. Now the rules establishes a soft self-regulatory architecture and code of ethics and three-tier grievance redressal mechanism for news publishers, OTT platforms and digital media. It not only talks about social media, it also talks about digital media, news publishers and OTT platforms. Digital media ethics code relating to digital media and OTT platform be administered by Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Okay, so this is also one news which is quite important. So this was all for today. Thank you. Thanks for watching.